An interesting NXT. Let's make this very clear. Was this a bad show? Wasn't bad. I still have a lot of misgivings what's going to happen with Mike Santana, or should I call him Cruz Montana? Really? Cruz Montana. Santana, Montana, Cruz? Really? Now, I'm not saying anything is bad about it, but sometimes I just wish they would use their name that they've been using for years, but they want to market it, and they only want to have their market, so it's understandable, but still, it sucks. And then the music sucks. Yes, I'm getting to the music. I don't like the music. Does it sound like his old song? Barely. I know I could save this for the end. I'm not doing it. I'm sorry. No, I'm not doing it. Sorry, my nose is itchy. I'm telling you right now, I don't like his name. Yes, it sounds as close to Santana as they could because they don't want to market Santana because that's TNA. They want to make it themselves as Montana. But the music sucks. It just does. Now, if that is TNA's music, which I don't believe it is, I believe it's his own music, but they don't want to market his music. They want to market his own. I believe that's his own music, not TNA's music. I don't remember. I'm being honest. I don't remember if TNA marketed that music or if that's his actual music that he went out and got himself. But I hate the fact. I hate it. I don't like the song. It doesn't sound like Mike Santana or even Cruz Montana. It sounds so generic. I just don't like it. But let's make it very clear. Was this a bad show? No. But it gives you a lot of questions. Let's start with Izzy Rain and Izzy Dane. Lizzie Rain and Izzy Dane. Let's make it clear. Do I believe Izzy is getting anywhere? No. She's not getting anywhere, and I still believe they're going to get rid of her eventually. I'm not saying that because I don't like her, because I actually do. I just don't believe they're going to do anything with her. She's been on the roster for not long. But I just don't know if they're going to actually put any trust in her. They've been letting her get into a lot of situations, but that doesn't mean she's actually getting anywhere. It was a good match, and understand, Lizzie Rain, I really like Lizzie Rain. She just has a certain type of charisma and a level of energy I like. And she's cute. She's a good-looking woman. But in the end, this wasn't about Lizzie. This was about Shawn Spears scaring Miku with a chair so she would lose her match, and that is Izzy. There you go. When does this end? Don't know. I do believe Lizzie and Shawn Spears will team up to go against Izzy and Miku eventually. It's going to happen. The question is when, and will this end this feud? Because as far as I can tell, it's not ending yet. And I don't even know how they're going to end this when it comes to the former members of the Culling. It's not like Shawn Spears is going to wrestle Izzy. He's not going to do it, so he has to have a proxy for him. And that would be Lizzie. But when it's done with Lizzie, what does this mean? I don't know. Moving on. Next match, North American Championship. That is Ken Hendricks versus... Let me give it to you like this. Does this really mean anything against... Is this the next challenge for Evan Bourne? No, not Evan Bourne, sorry. You know the reason why I messed up Miles Bourne with Evan Bourne? The thing that happened with Miles is what happened with Evan. They gave him a lot of spectacular look. The only difference is that Evan being as, well, Mike Sandell. You got one guy that got himself in trouble because he did weed. You got another guy who's not in trouble, but the most important thing about him was his hearing loss. And even though they moved away from it, which they needed to, he kind of is in that same spot where he's with the North American Championship, but he's not doing anything. Just like Mike Sandell is. Matt Sandell, not Mike. Matt. Make my nose itch. Oh, this weather is bad today. I'm telling you this. When it comes to Miles Bourne, I just don't know what they're going to do with him. The guy is built very similar to, guess who? A Randall Keefe Orton. They both got the same body type. And he has similar moves like like Randy Orton. And I'm like, when is this guy going to be noticed as like a Randy Orton copy, in a sense? He has potential. He can do what Randy does. And even with his hearing loss, he does know how to do promos. He can work. And the question's going to be, what are they going to do with him? Because this wasn't about him. It was about Ken Hendricks dealing with Rook. I'm calling him Rook. I know I can say Mason Rook, but I'm calling him the Rook. Like The Rock, the Rook. Why not call him the Rook? He wanted to get his hands on him. He finally got his hands on him. The fight happens. And yes, you're going to say, well, what happened with Vanity Project? They're trying to team them up to go against Vanity Project. And also when it comes to Drake, he's going after him. Yes, but that doesn't mean anything. Because I want to see something happening with Miles. I think they should be doing something. He should be beginning to build into something else. But now with what's going on with Cruz and what's going on with... And I will get to Grayson. I'm not forgetting him. This is all about Grayson. You saw him, you see the thumbnail of my video. You know I'm not shashing away from it. It is about Grayson, what he said. But let's move on. Next match, OTM versus the Birthright. Now, they're not called Los Garza anymore. When it comes to Angel Garza and Alberto Carrillo, they're called something else. I don't know what it is. But they're not called that anymore. Now, supposedly, this is where, since I do not watch AAA, I didn't know anything about Bronco Nima working with them. Other than when they just mentioned it. And now they're here. Guys that have not been in NXT for quite a while. They're mainly working in not AEW, AAA. That's where they're generally working now. You don't see them on the main roster of Raw. You don't see them on the main roster of SmackDown. You don't see them in NXT other than this. They've been pretty much in Raw, SmackDown, NXT, TNA, AAA. Because, wait a minute, you're going to say, wait a minute, what about Evolve? Evolve's right here. This AAA. I don't care what anybody says. AAA should be more spotlighted. They're not doing it. What does the AAA champion feel like? Who's the current AAA world champion? I don't know. I've seen the Latin American champion. I've seen the mixed tag champions. I don't know nothing about the world champion. And I believe it might be Van Kingo. I don't really care. Because AAA doesn't have a premium live event. They still do YouTube. What does that mean? To anyone who loves AAA, you'll say, dude, it's great to see them on YouTube. We get to see it for free. You shouldn't be seeing it for free. If AAA meant something to WWE, they should be having a premium live event no different than NXT. And they don't got it. So they're not worth anything to WWE except a meat grinder. And what do I mean by that? Fresh meat, come for the grinder. There you go. Moving on. Let's make this clear. Since it was Price who had to eat the pin, and it was not Nima who won or lost. He didn't eat the pin. He didn't win anything. He was trying to keep Birthright separated from the former Los Garza. Keeping away from Angel Garza and Carrillo. He's keeping them away, and he's more concerned about keeping them from fighting than actually watching out for his partner. And let's be honest. Lucien realizes he's out of the loop. He's not going down to AAA. And now his partner, who he sees as family, who he knows his brother, who's his brother because we saw the vid pack of the interview with them, and that his little brother, Nima's little brother is no different than his own son. He's raising his brother like his son. Like, since his mom is no longer there, he's been watching out for his little brother like he gave birth to him, like that's his son. He loves him like a son. And Lucien knows that. And he's watching out for him like an uncle. But you could see that the former Los Garza, I'm going to keep calling them former Los Garza because I don't remember what they're called. And I'm sure you're going to tell me, but I don't remember. But It's like they're trying to push a wedge between them. Because they made it very clear, no matter where you go, you're ours. You're our familia. And that's the way it looks. And to be honest, do I actually want to see this storyline where you got Lucien being forced to see that his partner that he sees like a brother, that he knows the brother's little brother like a nephew, is being pushed out because Garza in Korea wants to take him over? Not really. Honestly, I don't want to see OTM have any conflicts of this, because right now they don't have a lot of tag teams in WWE, no matter if you're talking about Raw, SmackDown, NXT. You don't have a lot of them. At least keeping together, because they keep breaking them apart or putting them in situations where you have a huge roster, WWE. Raw, SmackDown, you got a whole bunch of wrestlers that are sitting in the back doing absolutely nothing. And you should be using them. And you're not. And if anybody says, and I know someone said, like with Jordan Grace, oh, they didn't have anything for her. Why? Doesn't matter. Put her on TV. They need fresh meat for these women to be working with. And they don't do it. And I know you're going to say, dude, don't you want her in a storyline? Of course I do. But I also want her on television. And they're using the same women over again and over again. I didn't watch this Raw, guys. I did not watch Raw. I don't watch SmackDown. I stopped watching SmackDown. I only seen clips once in a while. I stopped doing it because I was getting so frustrated. Raw I didn't watch. I saw JD's review of it. How many times did Danhausen have segments? How many times did Judgment Day, which is a dead faction, get so much TV time, and you're not showing any of the women? And we have a heel turn on Lyra Valkyria. But you don't follow it up. You don't follow up after she broke her nose or bloodied her nose when she was with Bayley, who literally elbowed her in the nose by accident. And I'm like, what the blue fuck? Really? And my girl, Soruka, who was champ, drops her title after 53 days because she couldn't handle the stress. I knew there was something wrong with Soruka. Remember what I said? The girl is off. She couldn't even pull off her own moves anymore. Either she couldn't handle the stress of it, or she couldn't get the work done. I think it's a combination of both. She's not doing live events much, and then they're pushing a huge amount of stuff on her. I was never fond of her becoming champion. It made no sense to make her champion so quickly. They just want people for the meat grinder, as I said earlier. And they're not thinking about building these people up correctly. They're just throwing titles on them to see if it'll work. And now Soul can't handle it. And they made her drop the title to a bloody nose, another person with a bloody nose, Raquel Rodriguez, who did deserve that title. I'm agreeing with JD. Raquel deserved that damn title. She worked her ass off getting where she is. But here's the thing. As much as I like Raquel, and I do, never hated her, what the fuck happened to all the other women in the fucking back? They got at least 20 women in the back. They still got a whole bunch of women in the back, and they do nothing with them. They don't even give them matches. They care more about advertisement, like KFC, which was on this show. You got Lizzie Rain doing a KFC advertisement when they did that already before last week. Now they've done it again this week. One advertisement, which was fine, but now knowing that Raw has multiple advertisement upon multiple advertisement, I'm glad I'm not watching Raw anymore. I'm done with it. Guys, I'm sorry. I'll still review AEW if I don't have a problem with my ankle, because as I said, I have a ruptured Achilles. It's hard for me to stand right now. Understand, I'm not saying my own business too much, but it's not easy walking around and doing the things you got to do on your own with a ruptured Achilles. It makes it take longer to heal, which it's been almost 2 months and my ankle is still not ready yet. And I still got to take longer time to heal because guess what? I don't have someone to help me take care of myself. So I got to do it on my own. So my ankle's taking longer than it should. I am an old man. Well, I just celebrated my birthday, what was it, Monday, which was now 3 days because it's Wednesday now. But I'm an old man. I heal slower now. So, you get my point, but sheesh. I'm telling you this right now. I can't watch Raw anymore. It's very rare I watch it. If it's something important, I will watch clips. Or if it's something really important, I'll watch a full segment. I'll find where I can see it and watch a full segment. Or if it's necessary to watch the whole show. But it's very rare for me to do that because, as I said, WWE Silver Lake, it's not making wrestling. They're using wrestling to make money. JD now sees it. I know I could do this in a separate video. I'm taking longer, but I got to. JD now sees this. He's fucking angry. He crashed out. I think I'm making a video about that. I am, after this, I'm going to do my video on Busted Open about Dave LaGreca. Sorry, I always mispronounce his name. Dave LaGreca, and basically Busted Open now being owned by WWE. I will be doing it right after this. But I am going to do another video probably talking about the crash out of of JD, Alex. I did see a little bit of Solomon. He was not happy either. He was frustrated. But JD and Alex exploded on their chats. Alex was so angry. You know how he has that, has the template over showing about Raw? He was so angry, he was like this. He didn't notice he wasn't even in frame. And he always makes sure he's in frame. He was like this. He was so pissed. Who called that over almost 3 years ago? Who was one to call it before Alex? Before JD? Before Solomonster? Before Grimm? I think Grimm didn't even talk about it. There was a few others who did talk about it. But I was one of those few that said, you don't know we're going to be dealing with when Vince is gone. Look what you got. Let's move on. Next match. That is that it? Let me give it to you like this. When it comes to Angels and Shiloh Hill, do I care about it? No. It was about a beauty pageant for men. I wasn't really caring about it. I still don't care about it. But the question's going to be Tate. I think I can't remember his name because he doesn't feel special. He can wrestle. He's got a great look. He has charisma, but he doesn't feel special. And I don't know what it is. I cannot remember his first name. Usually when I can't remember a person's first name or last name, there's something wrong. There's something missing with them. And he's got charisma. He's got a great look. He can wrestle. But there's something missing. Something that tangible. There's something missing. Look at Shiloh Hill. The guy's got a tooth missing. He's not one of the greatest talkers. He acts silly. But there is something there with him. And I don't know why. When I look at Angels, I don't see anything. There's something missing. And when I see Shiloh, I can say I see something with Shiloh Hill. Unrefined, but it's there. And maybe, what's his name? Tristan. I think his name is Tristan. Tristan Angels. I just feel like something missing. Moving on. Now, let's get to what do I feel about the vid packs when it comes to the underground match that's coming up for Gray and for Vice. It's alright. It's not much different from what we've seen already. Nothing different. Did they both talk alright? Yeah. At least with Lola, she's done what she's done before. She made it very clear how important that you need to humble yourself to be a great wrestler, and she has done that. And she's gone through the underground. She's gone through everybody. It's not about just winning. It's showing that she is still willing to learn. Now, when it comes to Kendall Gray, she's showing her dad, no different than Lola Vice showing her dad when he was teaching her about judo. And no, I think jiu-jitsu or judo. I can't remember what she specialized in MMA. But now, Kendall, same thing with her dad. They both, let's make this clear. They're both mirror images of each other. Both their dads coached them in both of their disciplines, and both of them became great. One went through MMA, became highly famous. One through amateur wrestling, became highly famous. And now we're going to have an underground match where MMA is going to go up against amateur wrestling. And here's where it becomes very interesting, because under usual situations, unless you know jiu-jitsu, and I do believe Lola does know some level of jiu-jitsu. I can't remember if she's trained in judo or jiu-jitsu. I believe jiu-jitsu. Or kickboxing, can't remember which one. But in an actual fight, the person that's going to have a strong advantage at first will be kindled as an amateur wrestler. Usually in MMA, they have the best options to get the person down, to get them to tap. Does not mean they always win, but that's it. And then they're going to try and make something where a real amateur wrestler is going up against a real MMA fighter, and they're faking it. Will it work? I don't know. This is where it's going to be very complicated, because you want this to be as real as possible, but you don't want them to actually hurt each other too much. So they're going to have to use some level of real martial arts and real amateur wrestling if they really want to make this feel really important, because if they just do it like they normally do, it's not going to feel important when you got two people with such accolades. Moving on. Let's see here. Well, Zarya having a match next week for the Speed title, due to the fact that Ren Sinclair wanted someone to go up against, but she didn't want to have a tournament. So, we're getting the possibility, if Zarya loses this match, going for the Speed tournament, you're going to have a Ren Sinclair get a title shot for the North American title. Do you actually want to see a Zarya lose at this point? No. But then, do I actually care about Zarya winning the Speed tournament title? You know what I mean, the Speed title. No. I don't need her to win 2 titles. I want them to focus on her being a North American champion, but I don't want her to lose. So the only option would be some type of screwy ending that Ren is going to win, but by some type of screwy ending so it doesn't hurt Zarya. And that sucks. But it's just me. Final thing we're going to talk about. Let's get to the two... Let's get to the 2 sections first, before we get to Grayson Waller. Cruz Montana's talk about his life. Fine. He did that in TNA, which was truthful. He wasn't lying. Seeing that he thanked and appreciated and loved TNA, that was a good thing to do, because he didn't act like some people where they bury the old company. He did show respect to TNA. He did. For giving him a chance. Coming back and actually putting stock in him. Because let's make this very clear, guys. Mike Santana, Cruz Montana, oh my gosh, that name, would not be who he is now. Not unless TNA management legitimately said, okay, you're back after going through rehab. We're going to see how you go. And then when they saw he was truly dedicated to keeping himself clean and really dedicating to the company, they were willing to invest in him, make him a multiple-time champion, giving him open segments, giving him storylines that really emphasize how hard he worked to become clean and sober, for not just to being a wrestler, but for his family and his daughter. That's something you can say with respect, and I give it to him. I respect him. That's the truth. When we get over to a little bit of the... Tony D didn't really say anything more than what he does. He's not a bad wrestler. He's not a bad talker. He's always been a good talker. He's always been a good wrestler. And he said what he needed to say for that segment to work. Saying that I respect you, I know you're a realist, and I know you mean it. But you're not getting this title. And Mike cut him off and said, I'm going to prove to you. And as you know, Grayson attacked them both. Then Cruz nails Tony in the face with a clothesline. And that's how they ended the show. But let's be honest here. That wasn't the part that we really cared about. And let's make it very clear. Even with Carver acting calm and asking for a match against EK, that isn't the surprising thing of the show. It was the opening with Grayson Waller. Let's make this clear. Grayson Waller has nothing. Once New Day left, he was left with nothing. He wasn't really doing anything great with New Day anyway, where they were doing the segments of, well, we're still mourning the time that we lost our titles. That segment sucked after a certain amount of time. It worked at first, and instead of forgetting and letting it go, they kept pushing it until it became like garbage. And then when it came to New Day leaving, Grayson had nothing to do. So this is what I think happened. I have no proof of this, but this is what I think happened. Grayson's now in NXT. He's been sent back. When it comes to HBK, he said, look, I'm going to tell you this. You're getting a chance down here again. But you need to make an impact. You need to do something special. And he said, am I allowed to do something special? Talk a little bit about yourself, about what you think really happened, and why things are bad. I think they did not give him a script. I think that was all off the cuff. I think they let him do a CM Punk. Because remember, CM Punk was about to leave. The last thing he was going to do, he was allowed to get an open mic. He asked, they said, okay, say what you want. He did the pipe bomb, and they cut his ass off because he went too far with that shit. That pissed off Vince. I believe HBK said, you need a pipe bomb moment. Say what you feel. This might be the only chance you get to really get somewhere. And that is what we got in that segment. Hearing him talk about him putting over Austin Theory to the point where he literally could be cheered and booed properly instead of not cared about. Seeing that he broke his ankle right when he had his moment. Seeing he went to New Day. They stuck him with New Day after being separated from Austin. And that he tried to make it work. And tried to put over New Day as much as he could. And then eventually he ended up where he is today. In a New Day in NXT. That was, I truly believe, along with when when one of the handlers came to him and said, hey, you need to, he said, what? What, you want me to stop? You want me to stop? Tell Sean to come out here and tell me to stop. I'm not done yet. And he says clearly, and I'm not quoting exactly, but he says, the roster sucks. The roster's soft. I'm saying this with the total disdain. The women are doing better, which I got to admit, if you haven't noticed, the women have been spotlighted way more than the men. When have you seen the women getting more matches than the men? I didn't have a problem with it, but I did say more than a few times you must balance out the women having spots and the men. If you go too much women, you keep the men off, there's going to be a problem. And they're focusing on the women a lot. He wasn't lying. He wasn't lying. He said openly, Sean may be flipping out, but I know he's enjoying it because he knows I'm telling the truth. This is what we got in that segment. This was, I think, a kind of work shoot pipe bomb. A work shoot. Because I think HBK, I think really he told him, try a little bit of realism here. Go out there off the cuff, try a little realism. And I think he decided when he got into that damn ring, he has nothing left to lose. What is he doing? He's doing nothing. He did every segment they gave him, and it got him nowhere. So he said, fuck it. I'm just going to risk it. And this is what we got. And I hope you enjoyed this NXT review. Please give me a comment below. I am doing my Gump Goodness video right now about Busted Open Radio being taken by WWE. Peace.